and what that is basically. It's just like a term that I've kind of used myself to kind of explain the way that I layer different protocols and depending on what I want to do. So if I'm trying to optimize for maintaining my position in ETH, but also accumulating it passively, then that's what I've come up with. This is what I've come up with for that. If I want to short something, but I want to hedge, then that's a completely different stack. Um, but generally, I would say each one has about three different protocols involved. Um, and I mean, if you've traded options at all, you're pretty familiar with like some of the strategies that you use. Now it's just kind of a different song, same song, different dance. I think that's the right way to put it. Um, but yeah, so I'm gonna drop a link over in event chat really quick. Can you guys see?
Yep.
All right, cool. So I wrote everything out, basically just as I would speak it. So if you want to review it later on, you can. And I'm gonna also add to it as we go along in real time. So anyway, right, what is capital efficiency? Um, Already there are a lot of like novel mechanics and properties emerging in decentralized finance, right? Um, but like at the end of the day, all that matters is capital efficiency. Because one of the biggest problems in traditional finance is you throw money in your bank account and you don't really get much out of it. You're basically just providing inventory to banks for them to lend out money and actually profit from it. And they give you like 0.01% interest back. And the reason for that is because there's no shortage of liquidity. And so it's just a very old system, right? It's aged. Whereas in DeFi, there's a lot of opportunity to earn a lot of yield and all that across the entire ecosystem because everyone needs to bootstrap their liquidity. And part of my voice, you guys, I think I'm getting a little sick. But anyhow, so this is a formal definition of what capital efficiency is. It has to do with the understanding of the ratio of output in comparison to the amount of capital expenditure involved in maintaining the operation of a business or product line. This simple comparison serves as a way to determine if a particular operation, in this case a strategy, should be continued as is, continued with some adjustments, or abandoned and the resources diverted to other projects. Effectively, it's just a cost benefit analysis, right? How much is this costing me? What benefits am I getting from it? How can I optimize it, or should I just move along? And so there are two different aspects, right, when it comes to assessing whether or not something is worth it. There's the accounting cost, right? So that's how much money is actually involved. Are you servicing, like, for example, if you have a loan from Aave and you are investing in some other token and you had hoped for it to moon, within 2 years or something like that, and it still just has not, um, and you've accrued all of this interest, you have to ask yourself if it's worth it or if you're going to abandon it or if you're going to do something to fix that, right? And there are a couple things you could do. Um, and that would be the accounting cost, right? How much interest are you actually paying in order to maintain that position without having to actually inject new capital, right? And so there's already some efficiency in using leverage, um, but then there's also the cost that comes with it. So the next part is basically economic cost, right? And so economic cost is when you take into account everything that can't be conventionally measured in money. So that would be like time, energy, morale, what have you, right? Literally anything. Um, and some of these are obviously going to be unquantifiable or just completely unknown, right? So if you have $10,000 and you're getting into crypto for the first time and you need to know where is the best place to put it, you're going to get answers from all over the place. They're going to tell, oh, just go stake it, right, with this particular project. Go loan it out. Go buy some NFTs, rent them out. There's a lot of different things you could do. and there's no right answer. It all just depends on your time horizon, your risk appetite, and like your liquidity preference. Like if you are already working a lot, and you make more than enough money that you don't care, you can sit on something for a while. Then you're willing to take on more risk, right? But anyway, this is just these are all of the different aspects that come into play when determining whether or not something is efficient for you, right? Um, so, I mean, yeah, so this is just to kind of convey, obviously, look at traditional finance, a CD, certificate of deposit. Though it's secure and insured, you basically get nothing for it. You actually lose money because inflation's about 2%. So you end up with the exact same, if not less, by the end of the year. And then there's DeFi over here with these really insane APYs and APRs. I'm sure everyone has seen and most likely been a little skeptical of. Um, and I'm happy to like answer questions on this too because it is a pretty big thing. I'm sure everyone has seen recently how a lot of these rebasing protocols tanked a little bit. Um, so yeah, just kind of mentioning that. But these are, believe it or not, uh, 100, well, not all of them, but many of them are legitimate. You just have to really do your research when it comes to them. But to put everything in a very, very like pragmatic, like hard way, like here's a degen's take on what capital efficiency is. I need every deposit to give me a money Lego that can be leveraged or used for farming. Otherwise, I'm not excited. Like I don't care about it. Right? If it's the same thing as when I go to a bank, I deposit money and I just get a useless piece of paper, then that protocol isn't cool to me. But if I can deposit money and I get some derivative that I can then use elsewhere to go farm or leverage against, then sweet. I have magic internet money now, right? That's kind of the narrative that's really caught on over the last, like, year and a half. Um, and then, I shared that link with you guys. I have some links kind of throughout, the whole page in case you wanna dig into anything a little more deeply. Um, I'm not sure. I assume everyone's familiar with a lot of this stuff, but if not, then, of course, like, please ask questions. Don't hesitate to interrupt. Totally happy. Um But yeah, so there's capital efficiency in traditional finance to a degree, but it's typically been restricted to, the ultra wealthy. So they're the ones who have access to sophisticated tools that the average person does not. Which, there's an argument that it's because great power comes great responsibility, but you could also argue that it's just a matter of gatekeeping, which is why DeFi is so cool because now anybody, anywhere can access really sophisticated financial tools without needing to ask for permission. And so that's just kind of one of the hallmarks of DeFi and what makes it so revolutionary. Um, and then this is just like a little joke I have here. I mean, I'm sure everyone's heard of Albert Einstein's statement on compound interest, where like working for money is cool, but having your money work for you is even cooler because it will work harder, faster, and longer than any human can. And so the idea here is that you should, keeping your money in just a savings account that doesn't do anything for you is, not really the way to go. You should always be using your money in such a way that it works for you. That way, one day you don't have to work, right? Um, unless you want to. And so I added the link over to compound interest if you want to dig into that deeper and just see how phenomenal the returns can be, which is why like hodl culture is such a big thing in crypto. Um, but anyway, takeaway here is there's only one of you, blah 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 blah. Okay, so now this is where it starts to get fun, right? So the new mechanic that has come from DeFi is composability, right? That's kind of the term that was coined, where you deposit something and you get another token back. It started with aggregated market makers like Uniswap, where you would, well, it started even before that. It started with MakerDAO, actually, where you would deposit ETH and you would get DAI, right? Which was a stable coin, which I think everyone knows about it. Um, and so they were CDPs, collateralized debt positions, right? So you would stash your ETH, take a loan out against it, and then you can go do whatever you want with that loan. That was kind of the birth of DeFi, and it was like 2016, if I'm not mistaken, when we were opening up CDPs. But yeah, so it's been a while, and we've obviously come a really long way from just mere leverage. And a lot of people got wiped out too from way back when. So it's kind of a sad kind of bygone story. But anyway, and that was all MakerDAO too, in case you didn't know. MakerDAO they invented DAI and really kickstarted all of DeFi alongside a few other protocols.
Why did
Um, s- Go
you
ahead.
you said so many people got wiped because of from that? What was it just because they just didn't know to like why did they get wiped?
So there was a hack first, and then there was also just the enormous dip that happened back in like 2018. Like I know a lot of people who lost like all of their ETH, and we're talking like hundreds, if not thousands, of ETH just taken from them because they just leveraged it way too much and didn't really see the crash coming. Um, it's kind of sad. I think
Thanks.
they're okay now. But yeah, it's been a crazy ride, man, the last decade for sure, throughout Bitcoin and ETH, just wild. Okay, so this right here, have you guys heard of Lido? I feel like everyone knows about it, but I don't really know. You guys, is anyone using Lido at all?
Yes, I have. I've got ETH staked there, and then bridged over to Terra and
Okay,
using it in Anchor and Nexus.
gotcha. Okay, cool. So you're already earning yield there. Um, so it sounds like you're already pretty familiar with some of this. Um, But basically, like, the way that this stack is set up, is pretty simple, actually. It's just a few different layers to kinda augment that base yield. So I take ETH, I go throw it into Lido, and I get stETH, right? Staked ETH. Um, and so following that, I go over to Curve and I deposit, I actually open up a liquidity pool between stETH and ETH, right? So let's say if I threw in like 32 ETH or I'm sorry, if I have just 32 ETH lying around and I turned 16 into stETH, I would leave 16 in my wallet and then I would open up an LP over on Curve of 16 ETH and then 16 stETH, right? Just to keep that 50-50 ratio. And then you're earning fees on both sides, both in ETH and stETH, among obviously other rewards that come with Curve. But I'm not going to get into that here because then that starts getting into like Curve and Convex and that can get a little more complicated. I don't want to go there. I'll save that for another time. Um, just want to keep everything linear. So you deposit your stETH and you end up with CRV stETH, right? As indicated right here. So now you've turned ETH into stETH and then your stETH into CRV stETH. Okay. And you can just hold that if you want. Um, but you could also go over to Yearn Finance instead and you can deposit your CRV stETH and get YV CRV stETH. And now you're earning another 2.5% or so on your principal, which is pretty nice. And so, okay, like that's all well and good. Now you're, earning a little more than just, 4.5% or whatever, right? Okay. And it's very safe. I mean, outside of smart contract risk, um, given, in my opinion, the rate at which Ethereum is going to grow over the next few years, I'm more than happy with that personally. Um, And so now the next thing is where it gets really fun. With your curve staked ETH, you can go over to Abracadabra. I'm not sure. Has anyone here used Abracadabra before?
Yep.
It's pretty popular.
A little bit.
Okay. So yeah, so then you would just throw your YV curve staked ETH. You would collateralize it over with Abracadabra, and then you would borrow MIM, right? And so if you threw $100,000 into everything, now you can like very safely and easily borrow like $15,000 against that in the form of MIM. And so now you have not only all of your ETH earning you yield across a couple of different protocols safely, but now you've just extracted ten to $15,000 worth of liquidity that you can go ahead and deploy in anything you want. There's obviously no limit. You just take your MIM, which is a stable coin, and convert that into DAI or USDC. You can go spend it. You can buy whatever you want, or you can invest it. I would always recommend investing it personally, since it is a debt you have to pay back. I would say you want to at least double it and then pay that back, and then it's effectively free money, right? Um, but if you want to just be extra safe, let's say you threw in even more, and you just don't want to have any obligations. Um, so what you could do here is you would convert your MIM to DAI, okay, and then your DAI you throw into Alchemics. And so basically what that does is it secures the principal that you've borrowed. So let's say you borrowed, just like 10K or whatever, 15K, um, and you're getting really speculative on some gem you just found. You think it could moon, or it could completely tomb, and then you're out 15 grand. Um, right. And so if you don't really want to be in that position, you can go ahead and throw your 15K into Alchemics and borrow 50% in the form of ALDI. Okay. And so now this loan that you're taking from Alchemics is actually going to pay itself off, right? And you protected your initial loan from abracadabra. And so now you really have basically free money, absolutely free money. It's $7,500 that you can go do whatever you want with. And if you lose it all, really no big deal. You just have to wait a little bit for the loan to pay itself off, and then you can go ahead and unwind, um, or you can just do it all over again. And this is all, again, your ETH is earning you yield the entire time. It's safe. You haven't had to inject any more capital. And already at this point, you've hopefully doubled, tripled your money on whatever you bought. And you're just riding for free, basically, right? Um, so that's like it's really simple and straightforward. I didn't want to get too complicated. Um, I don't know if anyone uses like convex and all that. Or even things like is bonding with redacted, what have you. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of everything that I wanted to go over. It's pretty simple. I'm not sure um, what everyone's experience is. I'm not sure if everyone has heard of alchemics or not. Um, it seems to be a bit underground still, from what I've seen. I think now it's getting a little more popular now that Bankless has been really promoting them a little more loudly. But it is a really, really cool tool to use. Like, let's say you want to short ETH, then you can use Alchemics for that, right? You can just like throw your ETH into Alchemics, borrow your ETH, sell it off, and if it goes up, well, no big deal. You still have your original position. If it ends up going down, you've taken some cash out of it, and then you can just easily repurchase it and pay back your loan, right? So that's like, just another useful case for it. Um, and yeah, so that was pretty much it, you guys. And also, if you're not already using a lot of DeFi Legos or money Legos, um, something that I really recommend to get familiar with everything very quickly is Avagachi. Have you guys played Avagachi?
No.
Anyone?
Not yet.
No? Okay. So Avagachi is super cool. It's pretty cute. It's a little fun game. Um, and so basically what it is, right, is when you deposit anything into Aave, you get A tokens back, right? And they're basically like your deposit receipt. Um, and so Avagachi is this layer that lives on top of Aave, where you have to actually stake your A tokens and then use Ghost token in order to summon an Avagachi, right? And so the reason why this exists is to provide more stability to the liquidity on Aave, right? Because it's like, hey, you want a cute little ghosty, sure, but you have to lock in what you've deposited, right? And then you can look at this metric and see how stable Aave is as a platform. Um, and so that's also just something to always look for when you're looking to get into a new project. Really assess how that new DAO or that new protocol augments or complements an existing one. and if you think that'll have longevity or if there will be competitors, and that sort of thing. That way you can really, place your bet accordingly. Um, but overall, the idea is to always lock in tokens all everywhere. That way, everything's just more stable. And just to kind of like iterate on how important that is, like some people might say that that looks like a Ponzi scheme, right? Because you're just getting more money in and locking more money, and that's kind of what's paying everybody. Um, but something that I heard recently was, yeah, okay, it's a Ponzi scheme, but try to break it. Right? If it's unbreakable, then meaning that there are no regulators who can shut it down, and the owners can't just rug you because all of the liquidity is locked, and they've renounced ownership of the contract address. Um, there's it's now just this autonomous piece of code on Ethereum that no one can touch, but everyone can use, um, which is really cool. And so, yeah, that's just giving you some context on that. And Aavegotchi, by the way, is on Polygon. So if you don't want to pay, mainnet gas fees, you can go over to Polygon. As far as I know, it's the same exact experience. Um, but yeah, you guys. So are there any questions from that?
Yeah, Damien, I have a couple. Thank you
Sure.
so much for sharing your insight on this. And now I know what those very practical terms mean because I've been doing this for a while, several months now, anyway. Um, so my biggest concerns. So I've done something similar, in the sense that I've taken my stETH that I've staked in Lido, and as I mentioned, I bridged that over to the Terra network, and then bonded my stETH in Anchor to make BETH, and provided that as collateral on a loan, which was paying me to borrow on that loan for quite a while, about 19%. And then for a while, I was doing more delta neutral plays in Mirror, but I really don't like the tokenomics of Mirror. And then
Mhm.
the Nexus protocol came out about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and it was paying out um, 300 plus APR on ETH, Psi, and Luna Psi pools. And so I had about five stETH. I was borrowing at about 33%. So I had about 21,000. I had Luna in there too, bonded, and had it at 33%, and earning, about 1,500 bucks a month. I was earning about 100 bucks a day. And then I was taking those earnings and combining my Psi and swapping half of it and putting that in the Psi UST pool, which was also paying out at 100 plus percent. And then I was also earning Anchor, so I was taking some of the UST that I was making daily and bonding that with Anchor and putting that in the LP pool for Anchor, which was compounding at about 170%. So I've been playing that Lego system for about 3 months. I'm starting to get really nervous now, especially as much as the markets are tanking. So you mentioned locking up in Abracadabra, um, and then Alchemics. So I had a couple of specific questions, but I'm getting nervous right now. I'm trying to keep my loan to value ratio as
Mhm.
low as I can so I don't lose my ETH. And I still have nightmares. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and going, I haven't looked at coin market cap yet. I'm going, please, Bitcoin. I hope something with COVID or the Fed tax hasn't announced something and Bitcoin hit 20 grand and ETH jumped down to 17, right?
Mhm.
And I've lost my ETH playing this game. I
Mhm.
don't have hundreds of ETH. I have about 8. And I want to retire on that in a couple of years. So I don't know if you have any like recommendations because if you lock up in Abracadabra and let's just say you lock up in Alchemics, that's a lot of unwinding. And I started adding up the fees for all those steps you did, at least on the Ethereum network, and that would have probably cost you at least $1,000 to do all that.
Yeah, it's about $500, $500 to $600.
Yeah, depending on where gas is on that particular
Yeah,
day.
yeah. But yeah, general. I mean, so I only use mainnet. I don't. I'm not super familiar with many of the other ecosystems. I've played around a little bit, but generally I just stick to mainnet. Um, Even
Yeah.
Terra, I should have. I feel like they're doing some pretty cool stuff. I think that they could have some pretty cool, developments for, like, payments, in the future, specifically, like, with regard to, like, international borders and whatnot, and just, like, automated conversions, but anyway, um, yeah, so it sounds like there's definitely, like, a pretty decent amount of leverage you got, and I would use some of that yield to start paying that down,
Yeah, I've been
um,
doing that too since the market's been going down. I've been putting most of that towards my loan. I've just been paying USD, cashing out and paying it down.
and are you earning yield on any other chains or in any other, like, ecosystems, or is that has that been your
Well,
hope, really?
uh, well, I want to, and that's a bigger conversation. I was playing on the ETH network for a while with Curve because originally I had my Steth and Curve in the Steth pool, earning Lido and Curve. Um, But then, I did get into the DAOs. I got really excited and I put a bunch into Olympus and then I put some into Time and
Mm,
then I put some into Klima and then I put a little bit into Midas. And every time I put a chunk in there, they dumped. They all dumped. I started
mm.
this in like November, the end of November.
Ooh.
So all my capital, and I leveraged loans in Celsius to do that.
Mm, mm,
Some DAI and Bitcoin and things to go in there. And I'm down right now. But I'm actually really wanting to one explore the Polkadot system and get into some of the auctions because I have some dot and I haven't done that. Phantom, everybody's raving about Phantom right
mhm,
now, and um, especially the Frog Nation with Time Wonderland, which is really the only DAO I'm really excited about and have long term faith in right now. And it's selling at a discount, everyone. So if you've got any extra, now's the time. But not to shill anything, just my opinion. But and so I've been playing with the DAOs, but I've been wanting to get into Phantom, and now I've had a couple of people that I really respect starting to talk about Near and the Aurora protocol, and also Harmony. Like the DeFi Kingdom is
mhm,
a super cool protocol that's fun to play, and the jewel's been going up. It's been too high now. I wish I'd have got in 2 months ago. So there are some of these layer twos that are super cheap and even gasless right now that they're like incentivizing. I've also gotten distracted with games. I started playing um, Gods Unchained a couple of years ago, and I had like 1,400 Immutable X and 700 Gods tokens waiting for me to earn if I just played the game. So I've been doing that. Um, and the NFT rabbit hole, blah, blah, blah. So I've gotten a little too spread out. Um,
mhm.
so sorry to run on and answer
No,
your
no.
question.
Not at all. I
Yeah,
I think
those are the things I've been exploring, and I'd love to get feedback from anyone else who's been exploring any of those layer twos that make sense. I really haven't seen any yields on anything that I have faith in more than the Nexus right now, which is still paying a solid 100% plus. Um, and they're coming out with all kinds of stuff. I mean, Mars is coming out, the Astroport. I've locked up I've been in lockup with Astroport, which is going to be their AMM, and yeah, and it's like 25 cents a transaction over on Terra.
yeah, so
And you can even just earn 20% on UST all day long. You know?
mhm. So I see, like, two pieces, of the question, and you kinda answered one of them already where things are you've been exploring, you've been having fun, and so you're in a lot of places and you wanna consolidate everything a little bit, and so I think also, just to speak on the whole multi-chain narrative and what my thoughts are on that, I do believe in the multi-chain narrative. I just don't think it's going to be quite as robust, as maybe everyone thinks.
Yeah,
Um,
agree.
like Near and Harmony, I think it's really gonna come down to network effect,
Right. Yes.
and
100%.
being, like, use case or application
Yes.
specific, right?
Yes.
So, like, for example, I don't think there's a lot of NFTs on Tezos. I don't think that's where NFTs are gonna be.
Right.
The consensus of NFT collectors is that if they don't pay that high fee on Ethereum, then the NFT feels kind of cheap. right?
Yeah.
And that
Yeah, I guess it
those
depends on the use case, but I hear you on that.
yeah, if it's for gaming, then obviously, like, for Gods Unchained, that needs to be on Immutable X. But if it's like a collector's piece or something with
Yes,
any element of
totally.
exclusivity,
Yeah,
um, and then it's gonna be on Ethereum, or if it's even just high value,
right,
you're gonna want that on Ethereum because of the security.
right.
Anything financial, I would be absolutely shocked to see any institutions use any other chain for their transactions outside of Ethereum, just because of the security guarantee that you get with Ethereum. A lot of these
Right,
other chains have compromised on that. They go
right,
down, all kinds of things,
right.
and so you need like a layer two to fix that.
Yeah.
The layer two on which I'm the most bullish, first and foremost, is Starknet. Not sure if you've so they're not it's not even out yet. They're only in, like, alpha, and there's, like, Argent already made their wallet. Zigzag Exchange is going to be deploying on Starknet.
So that's
Um
the same one that launched on ZK?
Yes, exactly. There's been, a sort of a compromise that they've had to make, wherein limit orders can't you there's no such thing as a partial fill on ZK Sync,
Mhm.
so it's either all or nothing. Whereas over on Starknet, you'll actually be able to have partial fills, which is pretty nice. Um, in the event that you want to hit a certain price or you want to sell some at a certain price, um, because imagine it touches something and then it dips right away and you've lost that opportunity. Obviously, generally it's like higher density trades where you got to worry about that. But when it comes to institutions, that's something that they're really going to want. And so right now, I'm focused on where the institutions are going. Retail, they, you know, they just want to earn yield. They really don't care about anything. They don't really have much of an allegiance. Their allegiance is to the yield number, right? Um, and so if you follow with where the institutions have to go based on what they have at stake, um, it becomes pretty clear where everything is going. And we haven't seen a whole lot of institutions fly in, most likely because there's not regulation, and there isn't really like sophisticated infrastructure um, that's at scale. Um, and furthermore, the network can't even handle the throughput that they want. I mean, the closest thing is
It's really close.
DYDX. Um,
Yeah.
and DYDX, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it, but they do billions of dollars every day, and they are built on StarkX, which is made by Starkware. Um, and there's even this really cool thing that a lot of people don't know about, but if like Polygon goes down, your money's there, you're screwed. If even Arbitrum or Optimism goes down and your money's there, you lose it. Whereas with Starkware, I'm sorry, with Starknet, if your money's there and the whole network goes down, you can still withdraw it back to Ethereum, right? And although it seems like a really little thing, if you have millions or billions of dollars on some secondary network, you're going to want to make sure that you can get your money no matter what. Um, and so that to me, I feel like there doesn't even really need to be much more said. Although there is a lot more to say based on the what StarkNet actually enables in terms of use cases because of the much lower transaction cost. Like gaming, like that could probably compete with Solana is going to be possible on StarkNet. Not immediately, but over time. And so that's something else I've kind of got my ears up for. Um, but I still think that StarkNet's just really new. I mean, it's still not even launched. I think that by the end of the year, StarkNet will be live, and we'll see a couple of exchanges up, which that might be a good opportunity to go in. And I mean, even I know some people in here are farming Zigzag like almost every day, um, because almost certainly every layer two will need their own token, and every exchange will need their own token to incentivize retail to come earn yield, right? And as the ecosystem sort of matures, there'll be that network effect, and everything just kind of leads back to Ethereum is my thesis. Um, but yeah, so I would say definitely like you maximize like okay, taking advantage of rebasing protocols in my experience has been really great. And also like the rebate tokens. So I'm not sure if you've heard of DopeX, but that
No.
did really well last year. And then their rebate token did extremely well as well. Both were 100x each. Um, and so I'm not sure if you're familiar with like directed acyclic graphs or like over the counter trading. These are like institutional grade products that institutions are going to need to facilitate like the volume that they trade at.
Mhm.
And so Membrane is going to be launching soon, and they're going to need a lot of liquidity, and so they're going to use Tokamak in order to direct liquidity wherever they need it. And so they're gonna be eating not only are they going to be buying toke, but also any institutions who want liquidity for their particular token are going to be buying toke and staking it, thereby reducing it off the supply, or I'm sorry, reducing the circulating supply, while also kind of easing or letting liquidity flow through wherever they need it. Um, so Tokamak is a really, really like for me, Tokamak is going to be one of the biggest projects of the year, frankly. And I don't think a whole lot of people are really going to know about it because it's kind of I don't know if you're not familiar with like providing liquidity and kind of the pains of like impermanent loss and all that. Um, it's just not something that's on your radar. But it really solves a lot of issues from the DAO side of things and the institutional side of things. Because the last thing you want, if you're trading like more than 7 figures, is a bunch of slippage on that, right? That's going to hurt your profitability. Or if you're even doing that volume at high frequency, it's just not feasible. So w- basically, what I use as a model is looking at the forex market and how it operates today and what we need on our side here in crypto in order to emulate that. And whatever solutions are emerging that get us closer to that, I'm like extremely bullish on. Because if you're running a bank and you're paying a bunch of humans, but then you look at this other solution where you can fire a bunch of your humans, you're gonna do it. It's a 0 or 1, and you're gonna fire them. Um, and so yeah, anyway, I see a lot of like really great yield opportunities and just even token purchases. Like I have right now a few of my clients all staking token. They've been staking token for a while. Um, I've been staking token for a really long time, probably 4 months now, 4 or 5 months. Um, and so I mean, it's done really well over the last few months, and I'm still holding personally because I think that it still hasn't really gone anywhere near where I expect it to. Also, Alchemix, the token is going to be pretty good, I think, over the next like 2 years. I think it's gonna because I think Alchemix is difficult for most people to wrap their heads around.
Can
Uh,
I ask a quick specific question
sure,
about alchemics?
yeah, of course.
Damien, when I looked at it, it was very intriguing, but then I didn't see where you could spend your AL die. Like you were like in their ecosystem. Like where are you able to spend it or stake it or leverage it?
So you can actually just swap it directly. You could just go to Zapper, and you can easily just swap your Al ETH or your Al DAI to whatever you want. Um,
Okay,
and then there you go. You're free and clear to do whatever you want with that money.
interesting.
So if you like threw in 10 ETH, you borrowed 2.5 ETH, you have or 2.5 Al ETH, you can just convert that straight back to ETH, or just ape into any token you want. And your loan's just going to pay itself off in the background. You don't even have to think about it. Um, So yeah, that's how alchemics works, and how you can actually really really leverage it in with a lot more surface area. So it's pretty cool. It's one of my favorite projects.
Yeah, I think you may have mentioned it or put it in the Discord, and I saw it here. Um, and yeah, it was hard to understand then how to do that. So thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, sure. Um, and then another protocol that I'm extremely bullish on, and I've kind of touted it around in here already a little bit. Is Redacted. I'm not sure who's familiar with it already or
Another
not.
DAO.
Yeah, Redacted Cartel.
I'm so familiar with it, Damien.
Yeah, you'll be all right, Sean. Everybody
No,
will.
I know.
Um,
I heard it's a scam.
All right, Jerry.
Huge rug.
I'm just so wary of any more DAOs at the moment. I'm so down on DAOs, and the website, yeah, it kind of put me off a little bit. It was kind of hard to understand what they were doing.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to, they're trying to keep the normies out, right? So make it look suspicious and very degenerate. That way, only the degens are playing with it. But the economics behind it all make a lot of sense, in my opinion. They're basically supporting and backing their own token in with projects that are basically building out DeFi for institutions. Um, with regard to DopeX, which is like the premier options trading protocol. You have Toke, which is going to direct liquidity. They're even working, I mean, they're obviously a sub DAO of Olympus. So they're, for me, I look at where they want to be in 5 years and what we need in 5 years. And they seem to be the only ones who are really working toward that. And also with regard to just maintaining governance over other protocols and being able to bribe in such a way that benefits the many rather than just like a few centralized um, groups. Which you can argue, okay, well, what's the point if there are centralized groups in DeFi versus like centralized groups in institutions? They're just a bunch of jerks. Um, it's I think that personally, like given kinds of people that I've hung out with, like it's not about taking money. Like we really want to build out the ecosystem in such a way that everyone wins. That's kind of been the entire founding thesis behind all of this. And
Mhm.
institutions don't have that. They are just looking at DeFi in such a way that they can just cut their costs and make a lot more money. Um, there's none of that, no philosophy behind it. They're kind of just mercenaries. And so I see Redacted as kind of being the sort of hero, so to speak, right? To kind of keep things using some centralization to keep things consolidated among the people. Um, and so that's what I think is really cool about Redacted and why I'm extremely bullish. And also, it's super early too. The valuation is really low. And given that just the nature of it, right? Like if you Ohm is destined to go down. Anybody who didn't see that coming, maybe just didn't really think very deeply about what's going on or didn't understand it and just aped in. But every Ohm is only backed by $1, right? So anything above $1 is a wicked premium, right? Um, and so it's just been inevitable for the inflation to ultimately push the price down. The question is like, were you early or were you late? Um, However, with Redacted, the token is actually backed by other tokens that are going to be appreciating in value, right? And so having a basket of appreciating assets back your token is extremely bullish, especially given the longevity that I believe a lot of these protocols to have and how instrumental they'll be in building out the whole ecosystem. Um, so that's kind of my opinion. I'd also watch where Alchemix is going to deploy their on layer two. I wonder if they'll do it on Arbitrum or if they're waiting for Starknet. I would think that they're waiting for Starknet because it's more secure and the founder is really big on security. But we'll see. They could end up launching on Arbitrum, and that would be really bullish because Alchemix is a pretty sexy protocol. I mean, and you can tell that there's a lot of demand. If you go to Olympus Pro and you look at the bonding activity, everyone is always trying to bond for a discount on Alchemix, relative to a lot of other projects. So kind of just it's interesting to see that. But yeah, I hope that it kind of answers the question and kind of is some useful insight there.
Yeah, I'll have to look into Redacted a little bit more. And I didn't think Olympus would crash as quickly as it did. Any of them. I mean, they're all down. I think there's some. We talk about leverage and everything else. I think the liquidation cascade had a little bit more to do than just the inflation of the coin brought everything down.
Oh
In
yeah, no,
that
there was a
space
lot of liquidations. Yeah.
that caused a major sell off. and cash out as opposed to just the inflation rate of Olympus. I thought I understood it, but I have a lot to learn as always. Um, um, the other thing you had mentioned earlier was about strong nodes, which I started looking into. Um, and I wonder where you're at with that. I was looking into Stronghold, and it sounds really cool at one level, but then like, how long are they going to last? How long are they going to pay out? You know, you're buying it without really any idea of how long those are going to go, especially since haven't used them much. Just and now they're coming out on Polygon, and there's all these other um, variations. There's Thor and everyone else. If it's what the risk to reward is on the strong nodes.
Yeah, so someone in here actually showed it to me, and I thought it was pretty interesting. It seems promising. I'm personally not going to get into it, not because I don't believe in the
Yeah, I
project,
just
but
don't get a
I
good feeling about them yet.
yeah, I just also just generally I used to mine Monero and ETH way back in 20 what was it, 2018? Yeah, 2018 I had a nice little farm going for Monero specifically, mostly. Um But outside of that, I try to stay away from hardware. I don't like having to babysit anything and having to deal with like equipment. For me, it's you know the more software, the better. Just less liability and whatnot, less upkeep. But something I am really keen on is the provers that Starknet is going to be releasing this year. So that I'm definitely going to pick up some of those, just because I think, well, one, I want to support the network, and two, I think it'll be a pretty profitable endeavor. Um, Again, just because of the security offered by Starknet that is literally unrivaled, and just the speed at which they can execute transactions versus even like ZK Sync is just kind of bananas. Um, but yeah, so that's what I'm looking at. I wouldn't say if you're considering a strong node, I mean, the reward seems to be there, but yeah, I think whether or not there'll be longevity, yeah, is the question. So you hit it on the nose there.
And just asking a stupid question, redacted, is it on Ethereum? It appears to be.
Yes, yeah, it's on mainnet.
Right. I'll have to look into it. I'm
Damien,
feeling really burned by the DAOs at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm down about 15 grand on DAOs right now, so I'm feeling very sour taste in my mouth.
So what I would look at, so like with I'm not personally buying any more Ohm, um, but I'm buying a lot of Butterfly. Um, but with regard to any of these rebasing protocols or any Olympus fork, whenever the price goes down, what you want to look at is the bonding activity. Because if you see a lot of bonding activity, especially like very dense trades, very dense purchases and bonds, sorry, um, then that shows a lot of conviction that people are going to be in it for the long haul.
Right.
They're basically just buying everything at a discount from like the paper hands, right? Um, and so, but if you see a price dip and then there's no bonding activity, then I would say that that's an indicator that maybe things have run their course at least in the short run,
Right.
and that it wouldn't be a good like swing trade if you're trying to do something quarterly or what have you, right? Um, but like this last,
I was prepared to be in them the long term for sure. And I hate watching charts and trying to sidestep stuff, especially in that kind of thing. I want to support it, but the only one right now I have any real faith in is Wonderland. Everything else I'm wondering about, including Olympus.
yeah. So with regard, I feel the same about Wonderland. I'm not in it personally. I know a lot of guys in here are, but when I because for me, I've been in Olympus for a really long time, and I irrationally perhaps saw it as like heresy if moved over to Avalanche. Um, but I do think it's interesting that they're beginning to like diversify what backs their treasury and their overall ecosystem
Right.
with regard to like the sports betting platform. That I think is one of the smartest things that I've seen done on any of these other L1 chains. Because like if
Well,
you
I'm not sure if you're aware of the most recent thing, which seems to have confused everyone and caused a bit of a panic and a lot of confusion, which is they've stopped printing time. So you can't mint time anymore.
oh,
You can
that's
only
good.
Yes, it is good, but most people don't understand that. So
Yeah, no
you
more
can only
inflation.
work with wrapped memos. So Danielle said we've got enough in the treasury. We crossed 1 billion and now we're going to put it to work. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's good. I don't understand how people would misinterpret that, but yeah, that's actually really cool. I didn't know that. I'm sure
yeah.
you guys in here are glad to hear that. Um, but yeah, I think a lot of these other chains and forks need to figure out a way to differentiate themselves from their Ethereum mainnet counterpart. Otherwise, they're just going to get bullied out of the rink, in my opinion. Um, and I think most other chains are probably just gonna be like gaming chains, to be quite honest. I think that that's kind of the market is large enough that, just the same way that there are so many different car manufacturers in the world, not everyone wants to drive a Mercedes. Um, and then just happenstance, "Oh, I know a guy who works here, there, or whatever," at the end of the day, there are a lot of humans still coordinating all of this. Um, so for that reason, I think that there will be, a lot of these chains are just gonna be gaming blockchains and, and that's fine. Um I'm not super big into gaming myself, but recently I've started to dig into the opportunities that are starting to crop up with like NFTs, purchasing NFTs and leasing them out and whatnot.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a gentleman in here, Doza, who really kind of opened my eyes to. I mean, I've read about it and I've heard about it, but I never met anyone who had actually like sponsored anyone via like through Axie Infinity. Um, and so it was pretty cool to hear him speak on that and kind of the success um, that the sponsor has, as well as the organization that he works with. Um, so that is just a really interesting business model, and I think that as that gets some legs underneath it, um, I don't know. For me, I find it hard to believe that kids would continue to play games where they're not earning when they can instead play games
Yeah.
where they are
As soon
earning,
as they figure it out. Yeah.
So and I think it's gonna just the same way that mana and sand exploded like very rapidly. I mean, if you've been in crypto for any period
Well,
of
and
time,
Axie too.
and actually it all just happens at once.
Yeah.
Everything is a hype train. It could be in a month or two, who knows? If something significant happens. I mean, Sandbox is gonna go live this year. Decentraland's been doing a lot of development. There's a lot of casinos. You have Dharma partnering up with OpenSea. You have Coinbase launching their NFT marketplace, and it's just gonna take some marketing on their side in
You
order to.
guys saw where Google and Coinbase and all of them are kind of getting together in Apple too, right?
Yeah, yeah. I've been seeing a lot of them make some blockchain
Um,
plays recently.
no, there was an official announcement today, but I think it's not like a because I think a lot of people are getting confused by the actual news, but it's more around they're going to provide wallet services for Coinbase. So it's good news, but it's not like exciting. It's not like a real partnership. It's more of like a I don't know, like a kind of working together type scenario for a specific thing, just to try and branch out their position. But I think it's a good attempt at gaining more eyes on crypto, right? In general. So I think that's the way people should take it more than anything.
So Google is just like setting up Google Cloud to accommodate Coinbase's need for compute and
No, they're
storage.
they're gonna actually set up a payment system so payments can be created via crypto. Same with Apple, both of them.
Okay. Okay, so they'll probably like launch their own like side chain or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the specifics are. I just know that there was here, I'll try and find the article real quick, but there was an announcement today with Google and Coinbase, and then it also included Apple in there too, which is all, kind of some big players there.
Yeah. Instagram and Twitter. Twitter just did it, but the verification of NFTs with profile pics, and Facebook and Instagram are doing that as well. So
I'll put
indirectly,
it
these are
uh,
all really bullish news.
I'll put it in the is there like a general chat or something like that?
Just put it in general in the or event chat.
Yeah, event chat.
Event chat.
That'll work.
Okay. This is I don't think I can put anything in event chat.
Or just general in Alphaverse.
I'll just drop in general. All right. So that's the announcement for Google and Coinbase and Apple and all that stuff like that. So
That's huge.
thought
Yeah,
I'd
what a
come in
little
and drop that.
BitPay.
Yeah, so
dude,
that,
I've been waiting for BitPay to get really exciting. I feel like they're just like the ugly cheerleader of the whole squad, you know?
I feel like they'll get price action from this, right? There'll be quite a few different things that'll probably end up getting price action from this, especially like new launches on Coinbase too. I think those will get price action from this. Um, I'd just say like if you're in those things, like I wouldn't stay in them per se. I would just kind of like take my money and leave as soon as the price action happen, especially in like a downturning market. Obviously not financial advice, but that's the way I would play it if I was going to play the market right now. I did draw some interesting info too in the I think it's charts category, kind of showing where money's moving. So it's on that post right there, and it kind of shows like a lot of money is moving to USDT, but there's a ton of money moving into ETH right now. So it kind of dictates and shows you guys kind of that money flow if you guys are interested in that too. I know it's kind of off topic, but just throwing that out there.
No, no, I mean, it's not off topic, man. At this point, we're just kind of chatting about anything and everything. Initially, I just kind of shown one of the stacks that I use for hodling ETH and earning yield on it without putting it at risk. Um, so that's kind of how this whole thing started, and then we just started talking about yield and different chains and whatnot. So
I've been
you're good.
primarily utilizing stablecoin and just providing stablecoin as liquidity
Mm,
for earning money. And I find
um,
that that's the best way in a downtrend typically because
mm.
you can make pretty good yield off of that too.
Yeah, where are you providing liquidity specifically right now?
Celsius.
Okay, okay. I haven't
Yeah, I
really
think
used
theirs is
Celsius.
like 20% or something like that. Something crazy.
Nice. Yeah, I generally my favorite place to provide liquidity is if I'm doing stables, it's gonna be like stable to stable, only curve. Otherwise, if it's like ETH USDC or ETH DAI, I go over to Uniswap V3.
Yeah, yeah. There's probably better yields, I would say, in certain areas. It's just more about, risk to reward. So Celsius is one of the least risky platforms, I think, personally, in comparison to a lot of other ones. So I usually utilize
Um,
them.
the nice thing with Celsius too, if you take a loan with them, they don't liquidate you unless it really drops, but they give you time to repay your loan.
Exactly.
And they'll
Yeah.
only take a portion as opposed to your entire stake. So,
Yeah. Celsius in general is it's pretty solid, I would say. Just definitely check it out. I'm not trying to tell you guys what to do, like as far as position, but give them more ideas on ways you can kind of hedge. Because like when you're in a market that's downtrending, I would say it's better to stay in stable, but you still want to make money on your money, right? So like I think like providing liquidity with your stable is a good way to kind of make money on your money while you're waiting for the market to like make a decision.
well, that's where like over on the Terra chain, you're still can earn like 19.5% on your UST.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of places right now providing high yields for stablecoin in general. So while I usually I like to pick up like coins and stuff like that and provide, I guess, tokens in a way when the market's like in an uptrend, but I try to like provide stablecoin when the market's in a downtrend.
Yeah, I generally use V3 to because I manage that liquidity pretty actively. Um, I basically just use it to buy the dip and sell the tops as I see them. And if it doesn't top out, or if it, then I just maintain that position and keep earning fees on it. And if it's out of range, then I'll go ahead and just cash it out and then reopen it. But I always
Yeah.
have at least
Good.
like a dozen open over on V3. Um, but I love V3, man. I think that's like one of the coolest and most fun places to manage liquidity.
Yeah. I mean, those are just some ideas too. Like, I know a strategy I typically use, like when I'm trying to sell positions, is I just DCA down, keep my average down. Obviously, I'm not throwing all my money back in the market in a downtrend market. I just do it just in case. I do it drop a little bit here and there, but and I just take profit all the way up. I just once I come above my median average, that's where I just start every 10, 20% push, I'll end up taking a certain percentage out of my position until I'm pretty much completely out of my position with all my initial and some profit at least. And then eventually we'll top at some point and I can just keep on profit after that until we top, obviously.
Right, right. Just play with house money.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I know like a lot of people too, they probably bought tops on this market, but like I've already kind of like looked at the data and stuff like that. Like I know people are like, oh, yeah, this or that, and down and up and everything else. Like the bottom, like if you look at the BTC Rainbow, we're only like 30% from the floor. Like if we were to go down today, like it's not going to be your atypical 85% correction because we never blew off top, right? You have to reach the top of the rainbow to get an 85% correction. So because we haven't done that, the current anticipated drop from where we're at right now, if we're going to drop to a floor, it'd be like 30%. And then I was looking at the average. If you'd have bought the top of this cycle, like the very top, you can recover that. If the market tends to follow the floor, which it typically does, you can recover that by mid 23. Like you'll be back in the green midway through 23. So like being fearful in the current market, like I know like that sounds like a long time to some people, but a year is nothing, right? There were people in previous cycles that waited 4 years to get back in their position in the green. So keep that in mind too.
Yeah, and I'm gonna share something that I was holding on to, but I'll post it in, I guess, event chat. So so a new primitive that I've been waiting for a really long time is and then there are already some solutions that do it, but not like the way that I've envisioned it, and I think the DeFi native way. But the collateralization of NFTs so that you can leverage against them, and do all kinds of cool stuff, right? Because as of right now, who cares if you have $1 million NFT, if you can't actually do anything right with the value? Whereas this will enable you to borrow 20% against the value of your NFT. So if it's $1 million, then you can borrow 200, and then they're going to have a token. Now this is where everyone can profit. Um, they're going to have a token that needs to be purchased and then staked. And if the holder of an NFT with a loan does that, then they're actually going to increase their credit limit up to 40%, right? But they'll have to purchase and stake a certain amount, effectively reducing the circulating supply of that particular token on the market. And they're gonna they are going to use BASI right from the get-go. So a lot of the apes, I imagine, are gonna ape into that. Um, Punks are on the timeline later on. And then also just a general, like, really good piece of advice. Anything touching Dopex or Tokamak for this year is very promising. Like, if that's all you do, um, you will do pretty darn well. Um, so yeah, just because of how, like, central they are to where we're going. Um, and then you can look at the price action; it kind of speaks for itself, and the usage. But yeah, JPEG, pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it's going to be super exciting too, to collateralize Uniswap V3 positions. Right? So if you have, like, $100,000 position, and sure you're earning fees, but it'd be nice to also be able to draw a little more liquidity up front and then do whatever you want. And then, okay, not a big deal. Now I just have to, oh no, leave my V3 position open longer, earning fees. Not really a big deal unless it's out of range. Then that sucks. But that's why you would only do that with a large position with a very wide range. That way you never risk that, and you still get to draw some liquidity, right? Um, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I'm in this for the long run too. I mean, my goal is $1 million in 10 years, earning me 10%. And I just keep planning to buy as much ETH as I can afford when it makes sense, and most of it is dollar cost averaging. That's what I've been doing for like the last 4 years, about $500 a month. And don't ever sell it. Michael Saylor said it about Bitcoin: buy as much as you can, don't ever sell it. If you need the liquidity, borrow on it. I mean, Celsius will give you 1% loan. If I have to have it, otherwise I'm just going to keep buying it. And I know I'm screwing around, kind of over leveraging myself, and probably need to unleverage at this point. see where these markets go. I never want to lose my ETH again.
Yeah, so my strategy when it comes to using leverage is I lever up when the market is way down, right? When I think the bottom has come, that's when I start to use leverage to
Yeah.
eat the dip. Um, and then as we start to move up, I start to delev and I start to farm. That way I reduce my risk, but I'm able to still accumulate all of the rewards and also reap the benefits of the appreciation along the way, um, all with zero risk. Um, so
I'd
that's
love to learn your formula on that and what you're farming. I know you mentioned Tokamak and a couple others. I got to look into those.
It sounds like your strategy is very similar to mine, except you actually hold the token and farm it and stuff like that, versus I actually unload the token as we're going up. And then I usually wait for like, I think at minimum 20 to 25% dips before I even attempt a DCA position back into the market when I see the market getting ready to curl over. So I think like ours is similar. I think you're more like farming and stuff like that with your tokens, right?
yeah.
I
Yeah,
usually
and I
kind
like
of
having governance
load
too.
in and load out.
What is your guys' personal opinion on where we're at in the market right now? Do you think we're done, or do you think we're just getting flushed out and there's still going to be a run up, or it just depends on the money
I've
markets?
got 38K as my last support before I start going bearish.
Yeah, and we're
So
bouncing. We hit 39 tonight. I'm just sitting here watching
mhm.
everything go under. Even ETH broke $3,000. It was 2,900 right before we started.
Well, if you look at the chart I
Morning.
posted, it shows that the one I posted in charts chat or whatever. Basically, if you look at that, like it's showing money is moving into ETH. It is showing that a lot of things are getting sold, right? Like I have a sell flow on there too. So BTC going into USDT is pretty big right now and USD. But at the same time, like if you look at the first one I posted there, it's showing like USD is heavily going into ETH. And that's on the buy flow. And then I got the net flow, and that's showing other tokens and stablecoin. A lot of them are flowing into ETH, like converting
Interesting.
into ETH. So
Yeah, I, I'm gonna hold out. I've got about 10 grand right now. I'm holding on to some business credit, and I'm just seeing if ETH will come back down to 18 or so.
Oh,
I think in the cycle, ETH's gonna get wrecked though. Like it'll be a good buying opportunity though, because I have a
Well,
lot of
that's
my
what I'm
waiting on.
holding out for. I'm holding out
Yeah.
for it to get back down to 17 and change, and then I'm going to put it all in there. And I don't care if
Yeah.
it keeps going down from there, but
I think it
we'll
can
buy
break
it
under
all
a
day
K.
long
I think it can
and
break
hold
under a
on
K.
to it for the next 10 years.
Yeah, no, I'll buy too. I'm just my buying position on ETH is under a K. That's where I start DCing.
You actually think we'll get back down there this cycle?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like last cycle we got to what was it, 184. I think if we improve from last cycle, we're
Like you
probably
said,
looking at like
Bitcoin's probably not coming down that far. I mean,
no, Bitcoin's not, but most alts, including ETH usually sees about 95%. So ETH's gonna come down, I would say at
even
least
with
seven,
so
eight
much of
hundred.
it locked up and everybody anticipating 2.0 and everything else and the burns happening, that it's still going to come down that far.
Yeah, because your total liquidity is gonna get wrecked. Right? If people start selling on BTC, your total is going to get wrecked and people are going to get scared. Your average investor just they don't know what's going on, so they're just going to sell. They're going to panic sell.
I'll be happy. I'll take a mortgage out of my house. I swear I'll take a HELOC out if ETH
Oh,
drops down to
that's what I'm
20.
saying too. Like it's not a negative thing if the
Oh no,
market drops. It's a
I'll buy every
positive
penny
thing.
they'll give me at that
Because
price.
here's the thing: like if we go back into a bear cycle, guys, like I don't see bear cycles like maybe 10 years at most. We'll see bear cycles regularly, but I think like after like 10 years, we'll be at such a liquidity in the market that you won't see bear cycles anymore and your opportunity is now gone.
Yeah, at least on the blue chips.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like it's just it's insane that that a lot of people don't realize the wealth that can be made. I think within 10 years, like if you're willing to set in this, I'd say for 10 years you'll be in the millions. And you could do that from 10K.
Well, and that's my
So
goal. I mean, my conservative minimum's a million, earning me 10%.
yeah, I would say millions with
Well,
10K
and
in 10 years.
if we get there, Yeah, I mean, right now I've turned 10 into almost 100. I'm at 85 or so at the moment, but
I have a projected like market growth chart that I've created where I've kind of like dictated and saw kind of like where we can go based off of previous cycles and total growth between cycles and everything else, and kind of the diminishing returns included and every all the mathematical shit behind it. But like, yeah, I see like I basically got it like 10K in 10 years can make you at least I think like $9.8 million.
yeah, depending on, how
And
much
that's
the
sticking to the
financial
top
market
ones,
Ethereum's
right?
able to lock up. I just really pray 2.0 delivers, if we can't get faster and
Well,
cheaper.
even if it here's the thing, we have to be realistic, I think, with our expectations. I think 2.0 will be faster than what it is, but I think layer twos will outpace 2.0.
Yeah,
That's
but
just
even
what
there
it
we got to
is.
have somebody get their act together, like Optimism or
Well,
UK or
it's just
somebody's
gonna
got to make it work.
it, yeah, it's gonna honestly, like, my own opinion, obviously, right, guys. I think it'll require a fork and a recode.
Of
That's what I
Ethereum?
think. Yeah, I think that's the only reality behind it, because you have to think about coding
Mm.
in general, right? It's like going back and rewriting a contract on the same piece of paper. It's very difficult to do on any type of token. So I would say, like, to be able to do that, like, they can improve it, right? Just like what they do with Bitcoin with the Lightning Network and everything like that. Like, they can add all these additions and all these bells and whistles, but a newer coded token will actually just be faster, just because it's it has had the opportunity to see the flaws in the other tokens, and they improve upon that in the code originally when they write the token, right? Or when they write the chain, I'll say. Sorry, not token, but when they write the chain, they end up improving on the code previously. Like, I think KDA is one of those, right? Like, KDA basically took Ethereum's code and improved on it. So it's another one too that I think a lot of people should keep their eyes on. Um, I don't think that KDA will outpace Ethereum. This is not going to happen, I don't think, myself. And that's just because of, time. Every token gains value through time and through, through being in the ecosystem and proving itself. I can give you another example too, Solana, for instance, right? Everybody's really hot on Solana, but can you tell me how many times you've ever heard of ETH network actually shutting down or getting crashed or any of that?
Right.
Solana is total corporate
It's never happened.
paper.
So when people are sitting there Solana, 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 it's like, look how many times it's crashed.
Yeah.
It's already
No, I have a
proven it's
lot
not a
more.
better network.
I mean, I have a lot more faith in like Polkadot and
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure, Dot. Yeah.
eventually taking network effect and Polygon taking network effect than Solana.
Well, we have to consider too, but that's a whole nother thing, right? So Dot's a layer 0, whereas like Ethereum's a layer 1. I think Dot will
Yeah,
be the
Gavin
main
took
layer
everything he
0.
did from yeah, and Gavin took everything he learned from coding Ethereum and made the best version of it in Polkadot.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's
That's
why
why
I
I've
think
been loading
Dot
up
will
on
dominate.
Polkadot all year long because I knew when
Mhm.
it came out, it's like it's gonna give Ethereum a run for its money, even though that's not his particular goal. It still is.
Well, the thing is, we have to keep in mind too, they're two totally different things.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Dot and Ethereum are two totally different things. Dot's a
Yeah,
layer
he didn't
0.
want it. He didn't want to
ETH's a
kill
layer
ETH. He
1.
wanted to enhance it. He wanted to
Yeah.
make it better.
And the other thing too, I think that people got to keep in mind is like Kusama, for instance, right? Kusama's their test net. They made a
Yeah,
chain to test their other chain.
I
Tell me
know.
any
And
other chain has done that.
Kasama's been up at 500s. You can only imagine what Polkadot's going to do when it really starts
That's
getting
what I'm
traction.
saying. Yes, that will do extremely well, I think. And I've seen the price suppression this cycle, and that's what's really made me bullish on Dot. Is
Oh, I
because
know.
when you
I
see
just
that
keep
kind of
talking there.
price
That's been my biggest
suppression,
buy. Yeah,
it really makes you wonder, why are they suppressing the price, right?
yeah,
Same thing our government does in stocks. They sit there and say bad, 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 don't buy, don't buy, don't buy. When they're saying that, that's your opportunity.
yeah.
So when
Totally.
I see price suppression on Dot, I'm definitely more bullish on that, I would say. But I think Dot can get crushed this cycle, which will be really good for me, because people think that it's not a good product because it didn't have price action this cycle, but they just don't know the tech. That's
Yeah,
the reality of
they're
it.
misunderstanding the fundamentals by a big shot if they're looking at price action for it. This is the
Exactly.
best time to be buying it. Yeah, I mean, I need to get on the chain and start looking at the auctions. I'd really like to get my dot over there and start staking it and a couple of the different auctions that are happening right now. Put it to work. That's like one of my top to-do lists right now. I need to get on.
Yeah. That I mean, as far as staking it, like I said, like once I get enough of it, when I think we've hit a bottom, then I'll probably look into staking. I do want to hold on to that for a long time. I have quite a bit myself. So I think I'm sitting on like
Can never have enough.
I think like I have like
Yeah, there's just too
8,000
many
dot right now.
areas that everything's growing right now. It's just impossible to keep up with it all. It's just mind-boggling.
Yeah,
I
and
am looking.
that's what I'd say too is be careful. Like with these chains that are doing gaming and stuff like that, the value I think in gaming and in the crypto space right now that we're seeing is coming from um more or less just people, assuming price action, assuming bullishness and
Mhm,
everything else, versus the product actually being good.
mhm,
Um, and I would say too, like with gaming, I think the real price action from gaming and crypto will come from games that reward well, right? So if
Games
they're
that
not
what?
games that reward well and they're
Oh,
just
right.
regular stick figure games and you run around shooting cats or whatever and it doesn't do anything other than that, those games will get boring really fast and they will start losing people.
Yeah. I mean, Gods Unchained came out of the gate slicker than snot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing
There's going to be
playing
some
Gods
that
Unchained.
will dominate. Like I think Citus will dominate. I think Citus is a really good project, and I think Atlas is a good project. Obviously, everybody knows that one. And I think
I don't. I need to get in and look at them because I'm not a big gamer either. But I just see the potential of what's available to get paid and play and learn right now.
well,
I mean,
Citus is almost back at launch price. It's just Citus is not a fully launched product more or less. They're still working on it, so that's why it's not going to really see price action. I think the cycle, but I think like what they're trying to do is that. Same thing with Wild. I'm just kind of
they're
questionable about
incorporating all
Wild.
the NFT technology and everything else into it. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah. And like you guys should look into how to like build an NFT too. Like it's not hard at all. Like you can build like 10,000 NFTs in like an hour. So like to
yeah, it's
think
just
that
coming up with a good idea. I don't want to just
yeah.
throw it out there to make money. I want to make it do something.
No, I'm just telling people that are like picking up NFTs. You got to
Yeah,
really research your projects to make sure that they're not
yeah,
just some dude in his garage making NFTs and selling them to
totally.
you. So
Which is what
that's kind of what I'm
99% of the people are doing.
saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Another, just a quick shameless shill here. Another game that I think personally is going to be big is Big Time. I don't know if you guys have heard of Big Time,
oh,
but
yeah.
like Big
Yep,
Time
heard a
is
big
pretty
time.
cool.
No.
I've heard Becker talk about it, and I've like looked at the team and shit, and they seem like they know what they're doing. It's supposed to be like a World of Warcraft type of game. So
GG. What
Yeah,
chain are they on?
I'm not sure. I haven't done too much looking into the project, but I know they also recently had an NFT land sale like a month ago or something like that.
Yeah, Space
I
NFT.
I would be careful with games that try to compare that. Like there's if you know the game industry, which you probably do, right?
I'm a
And
fucking nerd,
Oh,
dude.
and I do.
I
When
used to game a lot as a kid.
when people say "Wow Killer" or "Wow anything," expect disappointment. That's all I'm just.
Oh, 100%,
That's
100%.
always what it's
Like
been.
you gotta at least look at the gameplay loop and kind of analyze like what the gameplay loop is kind of like.
Yeah.
Like you could tell what a grindy game looks like opposed to like a fucking game like League of Legends or something like that.
Hmm.
Just
Yeah.
analyzing the gameplay loop, that's kind of what I think Big
I
Time.
think
So
I think the biggest one that people should really be looking for is like those MOBA games, those League of Legends, and those other ones that play kind of similarly to that, right? I have one on here. Let me
there
there's
is there's I heard
League
Becker
of
talking about some
Ancients. That's right.
pardon?
So if you guys look it up, it's called League of Ancients, and that one is like a direct ripoff from not League of Legends, but yeah, actually it is League of Legends. Yeah, it's a complete
I
ripoff
think
from League of
that
Legends.
might be the one I heard Becker talking about. I'm not too
Yeah,
sure.
dude, it's crazy.
Maybe.
Oh, I'm talking about League of Legends
Say,
or
say that
League
MOBA
of Ancients.
madness in the metaverse.
The dumpening.
Like, I'm gonna try and find their website and like look at this website and tell me it's not
just
an
League of
exact
Ancients.
ripoff.
It's just leagueofancients.com.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like, if you look at their like pictures and their characters,
Yeah.
it's a direct ripoff of League of Legends.
Well,
But
nothing
I mean,
wrong with that. I mean, that's
no,
what
no, not at
Valve's
all. I'm not saying
vision
that at
is
all. Yeah,
of
yeah,
if they can make it work blockchain and pay people to play it, they've got a
exactly,
solid bet.
exactly. That's the way I look at it because anything goes. Obviously, decentralized, so anything goes.
Yeah, I think a lot of these games are gonna basically follow the same model that like a lot of protocols did in DeFi. So like there are lots of exchanges that are just complete corpses from like 2020 because everyone was just like a mercenary farming their rewards, right? I think that games are basically going to follow that same thing where oh we're an NFT game like come make money. Everyone's going to go make money, and as soon as they
Oh
get
shit!
bored.
This thing's on the Binance chain though. Is it on
Yeah.
Yeah,
Binance?
there's a lot of people
Mhm.
deploying on BSC, and I think it's just because
I
that's where a
hate
lot of
fucking
activity
Binance.
is. I don't
Honestly,
like
I
BSC
don't
either.
expect 98% of projects on BSC to survive.
Yeah,
I hate
it
Binance.
just feels cheap.
Well, not only does it
Yeah,
feel
fuck
cheap,
Binance.
it's like 98% of them are scams. So
Yeah,
Fuck
It's so
Binance.
easy to deploy on the Binance chain too. Like it's
Supposedly, there's this badass game getting launched on Tezos, which are these dogs. What is it called? Dogami. And it has a huge team.
but is it fun?
And
Yeah,
for some reason, Tezos is getting it.
yeah, I've kind of moved away from looking for like these, Doge dogs walking around and walking into a building, walking back out, and you get a reward. And I'm looking more into like what can compete with current gaming, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
we gotta find the Animal Crossing clone, guys.
If it, hey, it's crazy, but Animal Crossing does work. And that's why Sand took off. You got to really understand. Sand literally ripped off Roblox.
Send
Exactly
I'm
what
ready
it
for
is.
somebody. I'm ready for somebody to come up with like the ultimate game, like Alex. Was it Alex Becker, the Neo Tokyo? They're doing some badass sort of gen shit in the gaming space.
Yeah, but a lot of those too
Except
are
it takes
even
so
are
much time to figure it all out. Like there's so much of a puzzle to it. It's like I don't have my whole life to spend to figure out how to get a part of this.
yeah. I can tell you like the ones that I've been seeing are like MOBAs. Um, and then you have ones that try to obviously rip off Cyberpunk. And then you get some that, obviously Roblox. There's a lot for Roblox. If you guys really dig deep in the space, there's a lot that try to rip off Roblox. Sand just does it best. And
We need to find
then
that Minecraft style game. Where's the Minecraft?
you're just
I can
building
trade in
blocks.
my
That's it,
diamond
man.
pickaxe for money.
But it's pretty crazy. But like what I'm looking for myself, just so you guys know, and I don't know if you guys are looking for the same thing, but I'm looking for MMORPGs, right? Because people spill stupid money on massive player games.
I've done that too.
So
Not
Guys,
sure.
I found a sick project that I don't think any of you guys have heard of yet. It's called FCF.io. So basically, it's called fan controlled football. So they're playing actual like NFL football, but it's like live players, and the fans are actually the people that are picking the plays. So I just found this today. It's actually like really sick, and they stream someone. They've already streamed some of the games on via Twitch. But you can literally see like the fans are like picking the plays for like the players, and the players execute it. But it's in real life. And like Richard Sherman, a few other people.
We need to
Like
partner
that's like the
off and then they'll really have something.
yeah. No, I think this might be the next. What's it's a fantasy football thing, draft leagues or
there's
whatever.
a
Because they don't
there's a
have,
betting
they do an
platform.
AI version of this, it'll be really fucking cool.
If you guys,
I think they do. They have like an arena, AI arena. I think Paradigm invested in something similar to that. But I think this one's cool because the fans are actually like telling the real players what to play. If anyone has a second, you should go to fcf.io. It's actually kind of cool.
So
I
they
already
take
got the
sort of like
title.
a poll, the fans like poll it up and then they pick it because
I'll post the picture. Yeah. So basically,
I'm
like thinking
looking at
that
the
and
site, so I'm just trying to see how they do it, how they
oh
control.
yeah, yeah. Go to I think if you go to the second like what is FCF, it shows like a little page of the interface. So I'll post something in the
Fuck
chat.
is FCF, yeah.
So you can actually like you pick the play. I'll post this in the Discord so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But it's like think Madden, but in real life. But you're like if you hold, I guess the NFT, you dictate. So like if you think and from a game theory perspective, like okay, if there's money on the line or something, let me get the tokens for the other team and then pick shitty plays. That'd be funny. But anyway, it's like I've seen just speaking of all these play to earn games, like they're all the same, man. Like they're all like
Mhm.
some card game or some like little Tekken game or whatever. I haven't seen anything that's like wow, but I did find this thing, and this was like okay, this is somewhat original. It's not like a copy and paste of literally everything else.
The one I put in the event chat, which I could not post in for some reason.
Damn, I can't
That's
believe this.
that one's a
Sorry.
betting platform that you can bet on games, you can bet on sports, you can bet all kinds of stuff.
Dexport.
Sitting here
Mhm.
looking on DApp Radar at like the top rated games by users. This shit's it's all BSC, drip on BSC. Splinterlands is on Wax. Alien Worlds is on Wax.
Are there any
Actually, the only thing on
games?
Uplands on EOS. It's all on EOS and BSC.
Are there any games that we know of that are going to be launching on Moon River soon?
Well, I
Nah,
think
Moon River's
has
getting
to launch
wrecked.
first.
Because
Have you
from what
seen
I've
its
read, apparently
price?
Moon River's. I've seen the price and all, but apparently the tech on Moon River is good to run games on. From what at least I've heard Becker talk about, he thinks it's like one of the best chains to put games on.
So the top users on games from DApp Radar is Splinterlands on the Hive and Wax network. 324,000 users.
Shit, that's pretty good.
I know, and I've been minting Wax and Genesis for 4 years. I put in $400 and I bought 6,000 Wax and put it in the Genesis mint, locked it up, and I'm generating like 500 Wax a week, and I think I have about 12,000 Wax right now. And I lost my cloud wallet. I can't even get it out of Scatter. Scatter won't even send it back to my exchange, so it's like stuck on Scatter and on the main chain. I have to figure fucking Wax out.
I remember Splinterland. Man, I haven't seen
And
this one in
I
a long time.
lost my phone and couldn't get my 2FA to reset. And they won't let me make a second cloud wallet on the Wax chain. There's no support, there's no nothing. So I have to figure out a workaround.
Oh fuck.
There's also two other
Splinterlands.
interesting things I found. One was it's called Play It Forward DAO. So basically, they're a guild where they basically recruit, train, and provide scholarships for basically individuals in developing countries. Think Philippines, Indonesia, Vietnam, where if you wanted to get 3 axes to start your journey, it'd be cost prohibitive. But they kind of identify talent early, and then they fund you and they bring you into your guild. And then they help you kind of use this as a way to start a career. And the other interesting thing I found was it's called Perion.gg. And these guys, they're looking to like lease and acquire the top assets in certain metaverse games. So say you had like a really valuable Axie, they would try to lease and acquire it and then breed it for like more other valuable Axies, and then I guess dump it or something. So think of like a hedge fund for like some of the top assets in some of these P2E games, where you can generate new assets from them, like
Can you throw the link
breeding.
for
Yeah, a
that?
lot
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
General?
I'll put that in. I'll put that in the chat. Both of these, and then they also like train and train rising and promising player and gamers, which is pretty sick.
That's fucking.
I
Is
I
that-
looked into that one. Like if you read the fine print, man, like I know they're helping people by giving them an opportunity, but it's kind of predatory.
You think
Like,
so?
yeah, like if you look through all their stuff, they kind of point out like they're gonna take more advantage of you, right? Because they're
Which
doing all
one?
the funding
The
front.
played forward or the Perion?
the one that provides the scholarships and all that stuff like that, and looks for
Play it
talent.
forward down.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
I mean,
I'm more
I
looking into that.
haven't done a deep dive on the docs, but I mean, I guess there definitely could be bad actors that could be predatory.
I'm not saying like their intention isn't well, like their intentions well. I feel like their ROI is ridiculous, right? So they expect your return on investment to be like 5, 10 fold of what they're providing you.
Right.
And that's not cool in my opinion. Like I get that they're giving people like the opportunity by giving them scholarships and loans, but it's kind of like if you were to go to like some of these truck driving schools, they'll be like, oh yeah, the school's free, but you had to drive for this place for like 2 years before you can actually get paid normal pay, or before you can go to another job. Otherwise, you got to pay for your school.
Right. No,
So
that's a fair critique.
yeah, I just want to throw that out there for anybody who might maybe looking into it. Just keep that in the back of your mind if that's something you're looking into doing. That you could end up in a situation where these guys could take full on advantage of you.
Jesus.
I mean, I wasn't considering doing it, but I just thought like just thought it was an interesting concept. But you
On
know,
paper, it sounds great. Don't
yeah,
get me wrong, but like there's always some deep dive BS in the background that somebody's always trying to do something funny.
right,
Like,
right. No,
if you
that's
wanted
fair.
an ROI that made sense, I'm cool with that. Like if you're like, okay, maybe you play this game and we give you a scholarship and like you pay back the scholarship plus 10% or whatever, then that makes sense, right? Or
Yeah, that's
20%.
reasonable. That's reasonable.
That's a reasonable ROI. But like if you're gonna lock people in for specific time frames and stuff like that, like that's ridiculous.
How would they even lock someone
I mean,
in? That's
it's
I
almost like
guess like
If you sign into the contract for the scholarship, there's read the fine print.
oh, look,
So
guys, I haven't
in the
haven't
contract,
yeah.
it's gonna state in there like you have to, XXY for X amount of time. And if you don't do it, then you have to pay the scholarship back.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I haven't done a deep dive on the docs, but if it is predatory, then that's pretty sketch.
I mean,
Um,
it's gonna be predatory to some degree. I mean,
Yeah,
they
it's
want
always gonna be. Yeah.
it's
I'm just
it
saying it has to be reasonably predatory. That's the
I
thing.
mean, it's an employment contract because, like, by that, argument, then every single employee has been predated upon, and it's a mutually beneficial agreement, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I mean, but I agree, but like there has to be some stipulations to it, right? That's what I mean by it. Like it seemed like the stipulations didn't make any sense because it's like they're gonna make out for a long time while you make nothing.
yeah, of course. Yeah,
And
that
how's that beneficial?
yeah, you can't just, like, if they're gonna commit resources to you, you can't just hang out for a week and then dip, and they wasted all that time and energy. I think that
Yeah,
there's
no, yeah,
that
yeah, for sure.
understanding now.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
wonder if
What
you could
you're
do
saying.
something like this in like a genosis safe, or am I pronouncing that right? Is it
Yeah,
genosis or
no, it's
gnosis?
notes. Yeah,
Gnosis,
notes.
yeah, yeah. In a gnosis safe, where actually instead of like you said, Hancock, something much more equitable, right? So say we'll give you like I guess think of it like Aave, but for scholarships for games. So
Mhm.
basically, say you do have an NFT that's worth something, then you lock it into this, and then think of it like a cross between Aave, Tornado Cash, and this thing, but it's equitable, right? So you have an NFT, you're in a developing country, someone gives you an NFT, a doodle or something in the Philippines. You take this doodle, use it as collateral to get a scholarship to play Axie. And then there's no like VCs involved, right? Instead, it's just a smart contract that says, okay, once you've generated enough assets, your doodle is unlocked. And then we would take a collateralized, think like they put it in they interface with fractionalized, and then they take a certain fractionalized part of the assets you've generated. But there's no like intermediary. Think like Tornado Cash, right, where they've taken the what's the
Yeah, where it's
keys
mixed
to
up
the
or whatever.
well, no, the creators of Tornado Cash, they took their private keys and they like burned it, right? So it's just
Hmm.
a it's like an autonomous robot living on Ethereum doing doing the tumbling, but like this, but like equitable. Do you get what
Yeah,
I'm
that's
saying?
what I'm saying. Like
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
fair model,
Oh
right? Like if
shit.
the model's fair, I'm cool with it. I just it has to make sense and it has to be fair to both parties. That's the way I look at it, I guess.
Yeah.
Is like has to be fair to both parties, not just one.
I think if you wanted something like that, you'd have to remove the human. I think,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
100%,
yeah,
100%.
yeah,
You'd have to set up some kind of automatic withdrawal of X amount of X, so they can't be like, oh, well, you picked out my best ones, or you did this, or
yeah.
whatnot, because
So
it just picks up random.
I think going to Damien's point that any contract, I mean, you can argue any contract in the world, right? Any employee is being is getting
Predated, I think is the word.
yes. I don't even know if that's
No,
the right word,
I
but yeah, yeah, yeah.
agree. I agree. I
Right.
just
Yeah.
I think that some people get into this stuff though, and they don't realize what they're getting into, right? And
Yeah.
then they not only pay this person, say they have a year contract, right? And they
Mhm.
serve 9 months of that. Sometimes they write these contracts out where it doesn't, they're not gonna reduce the amount you pay back because you serve 9 months, right? And you just pay back 3 months of whatever
Yeah.
the balance was.
Prorated. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not gonna prorate it. They're gonna literally take the 9 months of profit they made off you, and then they're gonna charge you the whole amount on top of that. You see what
I
I'm
mean, I see what
saying?
you're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm saying. That type of loaning is predatory, in my opinion. Like, you have to be reasonable. Yes, you are looking for an ROI, correct? I get that. You made an ROI off the person. He worked 9 months. Maybe he made you 10 times what you paid him for school, even right? Your loan or whatever, your scholarship. And the 3 months he has remaining, yeah, he broke the contract. Okay, then he pays back 3 months of whatever the scholarship was, versus paying back the whole year of scholarship money that you gave him.
Right. No, that
So
makes
it's
sense.
30%. What I'm saying, like on top of the profit they probably already made off the person. So it's kind of, it would be more of a win-win for them. And obviously, if they're scouting for talent, that means that they're looking for the best people, which means they're not going to hire people that aren't going to work out. So their ROI is going to be good regardless.
Have you guys heard of Vera Financial?
Vera
Uh,
Financial.
I think I
Yeah,
have.
I posted a link. So it basically is a platform. It's a non-custodial platform for enabling like the mortgaging of NFTs, the rentals, and like loans, all that good stuff. So it's pretty cool. I'm thinking that it'll be pretty big in the NFT marketplace and gaming space, like in the next year or two, as like the price of particular NFTs for certain games go way up, but are also like profitable. You may just have people because so there's two sides of the argument, right? Where it's like, oh, if it's pay to win, it's not going to have a chance. People are going to hate it. But then there's also the other side where what if the game is so much fun that there's just so much demand that the price just inevitably goes up, and now because there's so much money that can be made in the game, that now you actually see the NFTs as an investment vehicle,
I'll
right?
tell you this: I don't know one game on mobile hardly at all that's not pay to win,
Oh, yeah, exactly. I was thinking the same thing. Everything basically already is pay to win,
and they
right?
have
You
tons
just
of people playing.
you just
Tons.
don't get any value out of it. You're
Yeah.
basically just getting leached by these companies, and but it's just such an accepted model for the way that these businesses operate that there's no questioning of it. And I think it's just going to take a while for that narrative to really bubble up. Um, and I think it'll probably happen fast, like all at once. Everything seems to just happen all at once. Nothing is slow anymore. Um, but yeah, so kind of interesting to watch. I think Vera is pretty cool.
Yeah, pay to earn will succeed in, we'll say, marginalized countries, but like I think pay to win will also succeed in countries like the U.S., capitalist countries,
Yeah,
right, where the
yeah, because
money
it's
is,
an investment.
Yeah, I agree with that.
and that's just because people don't care what they do with their money. We saw that the cycle, right? They'll just keep dumping and dumping and dumping, and if you can make a game competitive with NFTs, and people know if they just keep putting in more money, they can keep beating everybody. They'll just start dumping money into the game as long as the game is good. That's what
Yeah.
matters.
It's almost like a DeFi Ponzi, right? But in
Mhm.
gaming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Both have their places in the world.
There's a lot of games out there, guys. I'm telling you, like the average revenue of the game because of their pay to win aspects are like hundreds of millions of dollars a month. They're making billions a year. So I definitely think that pay to win will be a thing to stay. I mean, look at EA. for instance. Most predatory gaming platform out there,
In
right?
the world.
And they're doing just fine. All right, I'm gonna take off, guys. But
Echo.